All right, diving in, we have Matt in Texas, Angela, a libertarian in California. Today, our first question is the virus is said to be spreading rapidly by the liberal media. Why are states, Angela, politically taking sides? Is this gambling with lives?
Well, okay, so the left will say that conservatives are gambling with lives by not forcing more shutdowns and tighter restrictions. I think that the right will say that the left is gambling with lives by forcing people out of their livelihoods and into depressions and wait lists for medical procedures that they desperately need. I don't always side with conservatives as a libertarian, but on this issue, I do. I think that it's dangerous to implement business closures and lockdowns. And as a libertarian, I believe that freedom is really important. The freedom to move about freely, to travel, to engage in business and commerce, and certainly to move around without forced medical intervention, which I fear is coming down the pipeline. So yeah, I think that people are gambling with lives right now, and I certainly wish they wouldn't.
Matt, her restrictions in California are obviously a lot heavier than here in Florida. Is that a gamble that they are taking politically? Is that science or is that a gamble? Is that political play at that point?
At this point, I don't think Gavin Newsom is gambling with politics. He's made it very clear where he stands from a political perspective and from a COVID restrictions perspective. The bigger question here is, what is the right decision? Do we need to continue to lock down states? Do we need to continue to close down businesses? The answer is I agree with Angela. The answer is no. We need to continue running our economy. What we do need to stop doing is we need to stop ignoring the CDC guidelines and stop ignoring the fact that social distancing works, that wearing masks in public places work. Going places for the sake of going places isn't something we should be doing right now. Now, again, you're trying to herd sheep or herd cats, I guess I should say, when it comes to the American public and telling them they can't travel for Thanksgiving. It's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is we need to be somewhere in the middle of CDC guidelines, of doing the right thing, leaving our economy open, but also not leaving it necessarily up to the states. When you leave it up to the states, these governors are dependent on the president, especially President Trump, who isn't really playing well in the sandbox right now, for federal funds. And it's extremely important that they do what's going to get them what they need. And, there are governors like Governor Newsom in California that just have simply said, I don't care, we can do as we please. But there are other states that are fearful of Donald Trump. And that, I believe, is causing them more issues because they're not putting mask mandates in place. They're not, mandating indoor regulations while leaving their businesses open. So it could go both ways here.
So Angela, with his points though, from a lot of perspectives, maybe throughout the history of the Democratic Party, we always hear about pro-choice. Are the Democrats right by saying pro-choice when it comes to abortion, but then they flip-flop when they say there is no choice when it comes to these types of mandates? Can you explain?
No, I think that it's a terribly inconsistent talking point that the left has. My body, my choice should be absolute. If you're going to go there, then you should really go there because it's my body, right? And so it should be my choice as to whether or not I get forcibly injected with a vaccination. It should also be my choice whether or not I have to wear a mask on my face for 8 hours. Certainly, I understand that there's a gray area and that private businesses, when they're not coerced by the government, have a right to implement policies that they think are going to protect themselves from liability and protect other customers. But I don't have a lot of respect for those policies when they're only enforced because the federal or state government is making them do so. I think that my choice is really important and that I should have a say in my body, regardless of the issue of what we're talking about. Abortion, drugs, vaccinations, which are drugs, by the way. Even CNN is saying, hey, the coronavirus vaccine that's on the market or that will be hitting the market soon, potentially, is no walk in the park. So that gives me a lot of pause. I definitely want to have control over what might go into my body.
Matt, you've gotten a series of questions from us so that you had an opportunity to formulate your answers. I want to really hear your take as a Texas Republican about the media. They are spreading fear in the form of numbers and cases. Why don't they use their platforms to spread bravery, answers to improving your immune system and your health? Wouldn't that be beneficial to the overall general public? I'm an independent. I would like the answers to these questions. I understand the fear, but what's going to help me get through this, Matt?
The media is reporting what's going to get them ratings. We've talked about this before, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but at the end of the day, it's very important that we realize that the media has done what they need to do from that perspective. I watch all networks just so I can get a well-balanced view, regardless of my actual political views. And it's really important to note they say wear your mask. They say social distance. All right, it's extremely important that we differentiate from the media when what's going to get them ratings versus what's going to actually help the American public. I have no doubt, and I've watched all three networks, that they are on the same conversation of saying X amount of thousand people have died from coronavirus, have contracted coronavirus today. They're also saying keep socially distanced, continue to wear your masks. There's nobody necessarily saying on there, let's go hoorah, hoorah, because it's not a time for hurrah, hurrah. There are thousands of people dying and thousands of people that are sick. There are certain cities in the United States where hospital capacities are at the max. It's not a time for hurrah, hurrah. We know what we need to do. And if we don't do it, that's on us.
So, Angela, I mean, looking at what we can do from a personal standpoint or personal perspective, we've heard of studies of taking particular vitamins or going for a walk in the park, getting some fresh air. Why aren't these stories being highlighted in the general media?
I have a slightly different take on the media right now. I think it's very evident at this point, and honestly, it's been very evident in the past, that the media is the propaganda wing of the far left. They give their marching orders to leftist politicians. I don't think it's the other way around. They have no interest in improving people's lives. They're interested in maintaining power and acquiring more power. Providing a more balanced view of current events, telling people how they can actually be healthy and be proactive in their own life and well-being, that doesn't grow or consolidate their power base. It does the opposite. So I would encourage anyone out there to really reassess the media. See, does it conform to your worldview? Does it just bolster and reinforce everything that you think every day, day in, day out? Is it the exact opposite, anathema to everything you believe? Are you unsure? I would question their motives and look at the unhealthy relationship between the media and what I consider the far left agenda and certain politicians on the left. I think that
I'm an independent, Angela. I don't have any party affiliation. I look at all sides of the argument, and I'm not seeing data that's coming out provided from the media. Looking at television, I'm not seeing any data about what I can do to protect myself. Should I be taking daily vitamins? Should I be looking into vitamin D? Should I do my own personal research? Or is that something that is not even going to help me?
Oh, well, I think that it will. I think that taking vitamin D is going to be really helpful, and probably zinc and anything else to strengthen your immune system. Get some sunlight, get some social interaction to, get some serotonin and some oxytocin flowing. There are plenty of things you can do to strengthen your immune system, and you should look into it.
There's no reason for us to be looking to the media for medical advice. These talking heads are very intelligent people. They're relatively great at what they do, but they are not doctors. They are not going to be able to tell us unless they have the appropriate contributors as what we need to do. And everyone knows what we need to do to fight this virus. It's no different than the flu or the common cold. Take your vitamin C, take your zinc, get exercise, drink lots of water, wear a mask, right? It's simple as that. I don't need the news to tell me that. And I don't think anyone should need the news to tell them that. As I mentioned earlier, the hurrah, hurrah, it's simple. Let them do that. And at the end of the day, unless a doctor gets on there and says something that is medically researched, then no one should be listening to the news when it comes to anything that they should be doing to improve their immune system that's not already proven.